OK and the podcast serves as a vessel to bridge the gap between human isolation and connection. We are all going through something. However, what happens when we start sharing our stories? We will be able to connect, heal, and grow. Come with me and my guests on a journey that will uncover their OK and moment. I'm your host, Just Jess. Let's get started. Thank y'all so much for tuning into OK and the podcast, where we are bridging the gap between human isolation and connection. And thank you for tuning in to episode 5. We got a lot of reviews in regards to David's story. And guess what? We're here for part 2. So I just want to make sure that everybody's up and going with our technology, which we did. And Dougie, can you do a little test?
Woo, woo, woo.
Oh, okay. You're there. You're there. So I'll start us off. You got some fan mail, which was awesome. So let me read this for you. So it says, first off, David is such an amazing, strong human being. And thank you for sharing your story. It really shows that you can never tell what someone's past is just by looking at them. You are remarkable. There's so many parts of your story you showed and how you handle yourself with grace. Question for David. Have you had the chance to ask your mother why you and what she was going through at the time in her life, and she wasn't able to take care for you or your other sisters that were adopted as well? Were they adopted as well? And then the second question is, what do you value most now that you know where you came from? Third question, what percentage of, I know they had, this person had questions. Third question, what percentage of nature, so being a child at birth, being a child with your birth parents, and nurture, being raised by your parents, do you feel played a part in what's shaped you as an adult? So let's start with the first question. Have you had a chance to talk to your mother in regards to why she wasn't able to take care of you and your other sisters and your brothers? What was she going through at the time? Have you been able to have that conversation?
So growing up, I knew, from the part 1, I always knew that I was adopted.
Mm-hmm.
The story that my parents told me was that my mom and dad were not able to give the life that they wanted to, so they gave me up. And that's all I knew growing up. Now, as far as asking my mother what happened or what was going on, she does not remember anything about me being born, which is,
and we talked about that.
Yeah, which is it's still astonishing to me. So I do not have that answer. I know that my oldest aunt, tried to inform me, said that maybe like the living situation might have not been ideal, but because my mom says that she does not remember, we have not been able to cross that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what was the third one?
The third question, or the second question, what do you value most now that you know where you came from? So I think that part we talked about when you found your tribe, especially with knowing that your birth family has so many various musicians.
Yes.
So what do you value most about those relationships?
Well, just knowing where I came from has always been intriguing to me. I remember when I was younger, I think it was high school, I wrote a poem, and I think it was a self-reflecting poem, and I do not remember the whole thing, but I just remember the only thing that that would I don't even know how to say it. Looking in the mirror is the only time that I get to see what my parents might have or could look like. So that was always a wonder for me, and knowing that um, everybody in my family on that side were musicians or
Yeah.
singers, or are musicians and singers. It kind of like was a key that kind of unlocked the door for me. It just made sense. I'm like, okay, well, it makes sense why I play the drums, why I can play the piano by ear, or, and singing and producing and all that other stuff. And then, so I don't know if I answered the question, but
I think you did.
I felt like it was just a door unlocked to, um, just to get closer to, what I think what I'm still looking for, you know. So it's, that door was closed. Now it's opened, and it's going to lead me to somewhere else.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Third question was, what percentage between nature versus nurture do you feel played a part in what shaped you as an adult? So that nature part being the um, being a child of your birth parents, and then that nurture part being raised by your parents, your adopted parents.
Um, so wait, nature is born, right? And
Hmm.
nurture, okay. So I would say, 90-10, maybe even 100% nurture.
Mm,
Um, Only because I've been with my family since I was, well, 8 months old is when the adoption was official, but I was probably with them, I think, 3 months prior to that. And yeah, a lot of my values are from my father, Robert Mayfield. Um, and I definitely get a lot of things, the way that I operate, my mentality, the way that I care for other people, and children, as well. It's definitely a trait that I got from my father. So I would say that nurture is the way higher percentage than nature, because I really don't know, till this day, I still really don't know my birth mom's mannerisms, and the way that she operates. I know that she's stubborn, and
mm.
I know that's in my bloodline. Um, I'm definitely stubborn, or strong-willed, as I'd like to put it.
Mm,
Um,
okay.
but yes,
Mhm.
but definitely, she's very reserved, and I feel like there's a fine line between being private and then being secretive, and I feel like she's like straddling it. And like I said, I'm still learning, but we don't really talk, so I really couldn't give you a gist of like, oh yeah, well, this is who she is. I know that she's had a lot of traumas. She's had a lot of tough things that she's dealt with in her life.
Yeah.
But and she's older than me, and everybody handles things differently. But with my upbringing, with my father, um, you know, those things don't define who we are. I know that certain situations happen. I know that um, some things are out of our control. It's how we react. It's how we bounce back. We can, we have the three strike rule. In our, it's 8 o'clock.
I know my computer. Just keep moving. We're
It's like
good.
clockwork.
Yes.
We have the three strike rule. You know what I'm saying? And you get chances, you get second chances to redeem yourself and to fix things that you've messed up or that you need to correct. And I believe that just because of who my dad was to me, I've always been, um, I've always been resilient. And I do, um, it's crazy that, whoever wrote to me, um, yeah, it's I'm getting emotional.
That's okay.
Um,
Take your time.
yeah, it is hard to keep a smile on my face sometimes. Um, but I look at it as that um, if I'm positive all the time, or I try to be as positive and try to lift people up, it spreads, like smiles. You smile at somebody, they're going to smile back unless they're weirdos.
Yeah,
Um,
pretty
but,
much.
I think that positivity, I think love is contagious. And so I don't want anybody to ever feel neglected as I felt at times. Um, and so I just love, and I try to make people smile and try to, um, I think it's very important. And some people think that I might be a little crazy or might be going out of my way and like, why are you so friendly? Why are you this and that? And I'm like, well, because it's like something that's needed. And, when times when I was younger and I was misunderstood, and I wasn't able to express my feelings of why I was feeling, if I was upset or if I was hurt,
Mhm.
um, so now I use what I've learned in my experiences to I know that at the end of the day, if I can't do anything right, I can love somebody, I can smile, I can, just shed light and love, in the world.
You talk about your father and just going into that nurturing piece and really, really important piece in your life as well. So
Yes.
bring that full circle. Hey, Danny. Hey, mamas.
She can see me. And so, yeah, so my dad, he's always been my number one fan from the first time that he had me. Um, I just, he passed away in 2001. It was the end of not the end of my senior year, but it was in December, 3 days before um, his birthday. Um, and it happened like literally right after football season. Um, and my dad was just my biggest supporter. He's taught me tons of just tons of he's given me tons of good advice.
Mhm.
And he was a strict father, military guy, no nonsense, no BS. um he loved baseball. That was actually my first love, baseball, before I got into football.
Mm.
um
What position?
in baseball,
Mhm.
actually I played every single position except for pitcher.
Very nice. Very
Yeah,
nice.
I
Okay.
I
Okay.
I could throw the ball hard. I just couldn't throw straight. So
Gotcha.
yeah, and and this just watching my dad, always sticking up for me, reprimanding when I need to be reprimanded. Me and him, we've had some battles.
Yeah.
Uh, but at the end of the day, I don't think I wouldn't change anything. He was always just when I needed him, he was always there. And I definitely respect him, the man that he was, um, even through some of the difficult things that we dealt with together.
Hmm.
With him and my mom splitting up, that was tough.
Divorce. What age?
Well,
What
I
age
don't
for you?
they didn't get it, like fourth grade.
Okay.
I don't know how old I was in fourth grade, but it was just the whole thing. Yeah, so my parents, they split up. My mom, she was, I don't know if I want to get all into the details, but
You're fine.
it was just, it was just messed up at the time. And being a kid and not really understanding what's going on, and you just, sometimes you feel like it's just, like I felt it might have been my fault that they're splitting up because like growing up, so like even though I had a good childhood, like for whatever reason I was, um I don't want to say I was angry, but I was like angry, and
Can you give an
I don't know
example?
why. Well, I always used to get in fights.
Okay.
That's how I would resolve my issues with anybody. I didn't care, if I was in first grade and you're a sixth grader, we have an issue, I'm gonna fight. And that's pretty much what I was known for. I didn't, and like mind you, I was a smart kid, got straight A's, and but I just had these, I guess, anger issues that I was dealing with. I've always been a firm believer, like, if I don't like something, I'm going to say something about it and I'm going to address it. And, if you don't like it, then we can fight. And
Was therapy an option growing up for you?
so my mom told me that I used to go to therapy.
Wow. Okay.
I never knew that. I don't remember any of that. And this was, I don't know, maybe like first, second, and third grade. I used to go to therapy. And so my mom, they told me that when I was in therapy, I used to draw like muscle men all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So like, growing up, I used to watch wrestling and WWF and all that other stuff. I remember drawing. I don't remember any of the sessions though. I couldn't even tell you who the lady was or if it was a guy or a girl or who. And she said that the um, person would ask me, say, hey, David, why are you drawing, these muscle men? And I used to tell, well, because I want to be strong. And that was my answer. So, but I don't remember it at all. My mom, she would tell me, oh yeah, we used to have you in therapy because we just didn't, we weren't sure what was wrong with you because you're always, fighting or you're getting in trouble and some, so um, I don't remember it, but so yeah.
It's no, and I asked that question because there's so many times where we go through so much trauma,
Yeah.
and as adults we have more, I would say, access to things that are beneficial towards us, if we don't have the, I would say, quote unquote stigma
Mm-hmm.
of it. But again, it's one of those questions. uh, have you considered, or are you in therapy currently?
Um, no.
Okay.
Um, and I've never really even thought of it.
Okay.
Um, I'm pretty sure it'll unlock some things. And like even it's crazy because even like us talking, um, even on the last episode,
Hmm.
it bringing out like emotions that I guess you could say that's been suppressed for all these years.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, it might be time. Um,
Yeah.
just
And if it is
okay.
time, I mean, you can definitely take that moment and talk with your loved ones and see, if this is something that you want to explore. I think ultimately it's just what's best for you. And if this was the first time you talked about it on this platform, I guess the question is, like, how did you feel after it?
Um, I felt there was a lot of I had mixed feelings. One was a little bit of relief. The other is that like when my cousins or my birth mom or my adoptive mom, when they hear it, like what are they gonna think? You
Hmm.
know, I've always done my own thing, but I I've always you naturally um concern yourself with what others think. And we try to live this life like, oh, it doesn't, I'm gonna do my own thing and I'm in this and that, but it's like, you always wonder, like, because you know, especially with my situation, like my cousins, they, I kind of fell into their lap, you know, and then all this other things were, and then all these other things start coming out. And so, and then, my mom, of course, cause we, like I said, I haven't talked to her. I didn't talk to her on Mother's Day. Um,
How did that make you feel?
um, the only thing that crossed my mind, cause I actually talked to my sister, um, was that she had all of these Mother's Day and not once did she think about me and my sister. That's what I thought this past Mother's Day.
Did you have that conversation with your sister?
No.
Okay.
And so it's kind of weird because my sister and my mom, our mom, they text message, but they've never talked on the phone yet. And so it'll be, well, it was a year in November
Mm-hmm.
that I found my sister. And then they just barely started text messaging sometime last year. So
Being that this is a very long and yet new journey, I would
yes.
I would say, um, what are you doing? What are your best practices to keep you going? Whether it's continuing with the relationship with your birth mom, with your birth family, continuing the relationship with your uh, is adopted a word that you want to use, or what you want to call it, family? Like, what word?
Yeah. I just say adopted family
Adopted
since,
family. Okay.
yeah, I
I just
mean,
want to make sure like I'm using the right terminology for you.
I don't even know if I'm using the right one, to be honest
Okay.
with you. I just, they, you know, they were my family until I found my family. And
Yeah,
so like when
that's true.
I'm explaining it, I'm like, okay, well this is how I'm gonna explain it. Adopted family, birth family. And then, that's how I've been explaining it. I forgot what the question was. I'm sorry.
No, no, no. It was, man, I wish I could go back. I
Right.
think where ultimately, yeah, what best
Well,
practices do you have to continue these relationships or to limit those relationships?
well, I mean, limit. I mean, I just don't talk. I have a gift of ignoring people, and it's a gift and a curse. But yes, I have a problem ignoring someone if I don't feel like it's, I want to say beneficial, but if it's not, um, like if I don't, if I feel like my mom, the way that she operates or the way that she, uh, like when we do have our had when we had have her conversations, that didn't sound right. When we've
You're
had
fine. Yes.
past conversations,
Okay.
um, it's just, she's kind of, I want to say like a Debbie Downer. And like I'm not, that's not me. I'm more of, okay, well, if I'm feeling this way, okay, let me find the solution or find the problem, okay, and then find a solution to be able to fix whatever I can fix. Um, and I know that some things aren't that easy, but if you're not looking to fix whatever is within you or what's bothering you, then it's like, well, you keep complaining that it's raining. Okay. All right. It's raining. It rained today. It rained. It rained. It rained. Okay. That's fine. Yes, it did rain. But you can look at the rain and say, well, it's clearing the air. It's watering the plants so that we can have fruit or we can have good smelling roses or whatever the case may be. You can always turn a negative into a positive. It's just I'm all about perspective. And so as far as keeping in touch also with like my other cousins, social media, text messaging, my aunts, they'll text me every now and then. And then, I just follow them, and anytime they have something good going on, I'll make sure I comment way to go, cousin, or this is great, or happy birthday, whatever it is, and
Mhm.
so, and it's so cool because they're receptive. There's some cousins that I haven't met yet, but I'll still talk to them on social media, and they, I had messaged them, and when I first started the journey and everything, once I figured out who was who, and my some of my other cousins were telling me, oh yeah, this is your cousin and from here. So then, I messaged them and let them know, hey, my name is David. I'm adopted. Actually part of the family, and and so all of them have been receptive. None of them have questioned me like, where did you come from or why and all this stuff. They just respond.
Welcome with
Um,
open arms, yeah.
yeah, and that's it's an awesome feeling. Just it's like now I have two families that
Mhm.
I get to check up on, and I get to see. Um, so yeah, um, yeah.
I know. So David, thank you so much for coming on and just finishing up that part too. Thank y'all for your questions that were
Oh
asked.
yeah, thank you.
Appreciated. And, hit us up, okay, and the podcast at gmail.com. We look forward to
Yeah.
talking to y'all next time. Thank you, Dougie.
All right, bye. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.